I'm so excited to introduce our today's guest, Silver LAUS, entrepreneur, biohacker, and the CEO of Shroomwell, a medical mushroom company that creates stunning supplements and elixirs to change and even save our life. Yep, that's a true story, and you will hear it on the podcast. In this episode, we discuss the nature of medical mushrooms, their benefits, and how they can improve our lives. We also discuss personal growth, managing stress, and what remedies can help us to reach our highest potential and workflow. As usual, as a founder, my first question is how the company is born. So what was the background behind the idea of Shroomwell?
Well, it's quite of an interesting story, to be honest.
That's why I always asking the story.
And I think there's always one answer. It's an interesting story. So it used to be Chaga Health, right? So back in 2014, the company was established, but the roots actually go back even like 3-4 years from the founding date. So one of our founders, the main founder, Siim, he used to be part of politics, so that was his career, so that's what he was doing till one day his grandma got diagnosed stage 4 cancer. And coming from the family of doctors, where it's very conventional way of thinking, literally they said that like you have like 3-4 weeks to go, like pack your things, get your things in order, because that's it, right? And they didn't know what else to do, and some of them or somebody out of them said like, listen, I think we have some sort of a recipe, like 100 years old family recipe in the drawer, like it's worth to try. It's a very conventional thinking, right? And they're like, we're willing to try whatever. And that drink was Chaga elixir. So they made the first Chaga elixir, and grandma lived another 14 years.
But that's so fascinating, because a lot of times the amazing brands come from that personal story. When you face the problem and you want to do as much as possible that you can, do at that second. And that's very nice that they looked, a broader in the situation.
I always say, like, the story actually continues, but I always say that the good brands, the good products, they always come out either from those two, where it's personal need or a massive gap in the market, right? Yeah. So Tesla, for example, wasn't personal need, it was a massive gap, right? Whereas a lot of products are coming from the personal need, and then we find that gap. So, but the story continues. So that was, if I'm not mistaken, like 2010, 2011. No, before that, sorry. But few years before, when the company was founded, Siim's friend got diagnosed cancer. And they applied the same thing. So his friends, same thing, stage 4 cancer. You only have 2 weeks, pretty much, get your things in order. Siim gave him the elixir. I was like, well, it worked with my grandma. You should try it as well. And the guy lived another 2 or 3 years, which is a big deal for a person who's diagnosed cancer, right? And before the guy passed, he said that, listen, like, you have to put your politics career on the side, and this is what you need to do. Like, this needs to go out to the big world. And we're talking about Estonia 2014, right? Where, like, we started to put mushrooms in a bottle, and people were looking at us, and I was like, what's wrong with you?
I think in the whole Europe it was like, what? Mushrooms? Okay, it sounds a bit tricky,
But let's be honest, the Baltic states were kind of the back trend of the wellness. So like, if something goes big in the world, it takes another 5 to 7 years until it arrives to Baltic.
So it's basically the same with the freeze-dried raw food, because in United States it's like super popular for 5-6 years already, and now it's only now kind of coming to Europe very slowly. So usually it's like 10 years, ahead, and then after 10 years it's coming to Europe. So, and then plus 3-4 years to Baltics,
Yeah, so. I used to live in Canada, and this is where my, let's call it, the love towards health and wellness started from. And one thing that I noticed was that if the trend starts, it usually starts from States, let's say 80-90% of the trends. Then, like, it takes a year or two, it takes the entire North America. And then from North America, it goes to Asia, it goes to Europe. Usually the landing point in Europe is UK. and then from there it spreads out.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on the trend, depending on the product, it takes anywhere between, the fastest I've seen is 5 years, the longest I've seen is like close to 10 years.
Yeah.
Until it arrives to us, and people
Yeah.
in politics are like, "Wow, look at this new thing," and I'm like, it's not new anymore. Like
Yeah.
it's 5 or 7 or 10 years old.
Well, it's good that it's at least coming, so
Yeah,
that's a
true
good
that.
news. So my second question was about, why chaga mushrooms, but now it's kind of pretty obvious why chaga and so on. But are you planning to also add other mushrooms in your, I don't know, recipes, in your products?
Yeah, so we're expanding portfolio. We've been doing chaga for let me see, 8 years, almost 9. So and it's been serving us well.
Sure.
Like, we know a lot about chaga. We're harvesting chaga. We're one company out of 2 in the world who successfully harvest chaga. Thank you. So it's been serving us well, but as we already discussed, the trend is here, right?
Yeah.
And with the trend, people know more about medicinal mushrooms. So on top of chaga, there is reishi, there's lion's mane, there's cordyceps, like you name it. So the logical next step is to actually go out there and
Sure.
and start using other mushrooms in our products as well. Something that happened last year, we acquired one company who has indoor grow facility, and also they have quite of a lab, so they're scientists. So we acquired that company, and now it's part of the Shroomwell group, where we can harvest any mushroom indoors. But our logic is to find those mushrooms, find those growth models, and try to expand it outdoors, do it in the forest. So to answer your question, yes, there's a lot of exciting new products on the market and more to come.
But of course, the main attention is, of course, now for chaga mushrooms. So what would be the main benefits of chaga mushrooms, and maybe when a lot of people are getting to notice it or try it?
How much time do we have?
Well, I know that most of the time you can talk for hours and hours, but maybe the main top 5 source, or maybe the ones that you noticed usually.
Yes. So chaga mushroom is it's very potent mushroom. It's called the king of mushrooms. Throughout the history, chaga was the king of a mushroom. Reishi was a queen of a mushroom. That says something for thousands of years, right? So old China, historical China, Japan, Korea, Russia, North American tribes, they all used chaga, and chaga was kind of on the pedestal. So it was the thing.
Yeah.
So even in China, if you collected reishi and chaga, and you weren't the elite, they killed you. You couldn't touch it. So it was already then they knew the value of the mushroom. So but if we're looking at from today's modern angle, so chaga is extremely it's adaptogen. So, and it's extremely powerful immune supporter. So it's not kind of like the magic drink where you take a shot and then you get cured magically. Nothing in a nature works like that. But it's rather taking care of yourself long term and making sure that nothing will happen to you. Preventative medicine, basically. So, well, we never know the other route we could have taken, right? So if you consume chaga, for me, I haven't been really sick for a very long time, except COVID.
Yeah.
That hit everybody pretty much. But being sick in a way where just running a fever, have a runny nose, and just got cold, hasn't happened to me a very long time. And I got into mushrooms, I would say 2018, more or less. Before that, I did superfoods, and then 2018 I discovered medicinal mushrooms, and I never looked back. So
I totally agree, because a lot of times, I consume a lot of supplements, let's call it that way, and some people are saying, wow, it's so crazy. But at the same time, sometimes I think, okay, maybe it's too much, or maybe I'm just, pretending that I'm healthy or something. But actually, for 2 years, I haven't been sick. I haven't got like a flu. Even though I had COVID, it was like without pretty much any symptoms.
Yeah.
And then I understood that, even though that it might look like strange, or maybe sometimes I kind of have a doubt and so on, but it really works. It really works. And
it does. And also to benefit of chaga mushroom, luckily the scientific world is kind of catching up, for this thousands of years of knowledge that we have, and scientifically we can actually say that, well, it works because of A, B, and C. Yeah. And if you're looking, you probably know the platform PubMed, so where they release all the
scientific research.
Exactly. So if you type in chaga mushroom, you get over 400 results, and they're very powerful. It's like they're researching chaga mushroom for reversing diabetes, obviously immune supporter. The latest that came out, I think 6 months ago, was that consuming chaga will actually will take care of your body in a way where you don't have the long COVID, which is huge. Also the gut health,
which is super important.
Which is super important because this is where the immunity actually starts from, and so on and so forth. So if you're looking at basically the numbers of research and what they're searching for and what they're looking for, it's pretty insane.
So what about, as I understood, so you began to harvest and work with chaga, and then when you had the raw material, how the process of developing the final product looked like? So as I understood, the founders used the old and ancestors recipe and so on, and adapted probably to a modern environment, scaling and so on. But basically, even in a short sense, how the product development looked like?
Yes. So our approach is we have very clear red lines that we will not cross. So no additives, none of that crap that I call it the kryptonite.
Yeah.
When Superman was near to kryptonite, his capabilities went down right away. So same with human beings, we consume too much of kryptonite, right? So we don't put any of that, excuse my French, any of that crap into the product. The other aspect is that the product has to taste good.
That's so important. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I personally believe that it's one of the main things, because I see a lot of supplements coming up each and every day basically, and then when you begin to consume it, it tastes so bad that you just don't want to continue, and then you drop. Yeah. And that's, so what the hell? You're
willing to do that for a month,
yeah,
but then
that's all.
It's
and
so hard to justify it.
It's so important, and especially when you work with natural products, you need to, sometimes use it for 8 to 10 weeks to make sure that you can see results. So exactly. I 100% agree.
Yeah, and it's and finding that fine line between being healthy, making it taste good, not to ruin the product and not to go too much on the other side. That's kind of that we're always hoovering around and we're trying to find that sweet spot, right? So when we're obviously our first product was old recipe, so we played around with different juices to give different tastes, but all the new products we use more scientific approach. There's a lot of information coming out daily of about different supplements, so we're trying to achieve or put together a product using that knowledge, and I personally dig deep into the researches, and then I listen to a lot of podcasts. I see what's going on in this world, so trying to put the products together, we have the knowledge right now in-house. We can do that. We can still keep on going for a couple of years for sure. But then in one point we probably need to add scientists who will start working with the product. But I'm not too worried about that right now. So
Definitely. And of course, interesting part for me is the harvesting. So, how, as I understood, you came up with the idea to first of all harvest it like outside, and then the possibility to harvest it inside came up because you bought the other company. But how the process looks like, from the like early spore, I can imagine, to the already grown chaga mushroom.
Yes, so we don't harvest it yet. So we're growing it because it's a very long cycle. It takes from the inoculation to actually do the harvest about 7 to 8 years. We're 3-4 years in right now. So, but we know enough that we see that it's growing, so we can sleep comfortably. First couple of years, like, we were very anxious.
I believe.
But so the entire process actually starts from inoculating the dowel. We use the same dowel that is used in the furniture. So that's what we're using, and I guess the reason why a lot of companies haven't had success with it is because this is the process that starts in the lab, and you can actually screw up there. Like 80% of the screw up probably comes from a lab. So we're using a very high-end, top-notch lab in Belgium that we're working together, and they're preparing the dowels for us. So the spores are getting, or the dowels are getting inoculated by the spores. Then it comes to us in Estonia or in the US, because we also started chaga farming in US now. And then those dowels are basically injected or inoculated into the birch tree. And we have our own methodology where we don't want to overburden the tree. The whole idea is not to kill the tree, but to live in the synergy as long as possible. So we do maximum 6 dowels. Each dowel will start to grow out the gunk. So we do maximum 6 dowels if the tree is really big, but we go usually from 1 to, let's say, 4, 5-ish. So a lot of our customers, a lot of business people who are only looking the return on investment, they're like, why can't you do more? Let's do 10, let's do 20. And we're like, no, like it's not sustainable. That's what it is, because by the end of the day, like we started this project because we saw that our need for chaga mushroom is growing fast, and we are relying on the forest we have in Estonia. We have, if I'm not mistaken, 2.2 million hectares of forest in Estonia, where half of that is state-owned. Where we have an agreement with the state that we can collect the chaga from there, but you don't know where it grows, when it grows, like it's hide and seek basically.
Basically exploring,
Yeah. So we have like harvesters who have a sort of understanding where it might be, like where the chances are higher. So, but still, a lot of driving around, a lot of seeking and looking for, right? So, and we realized at one point that we did the calculations on paper. And the number we came up with, this was 50 tons of chaga is the output of Estonian forest.
So it's quite a limited number.
It's quite a limited number, and it takes like 5 years for that gum to grow back. So, and last year we required, our company alone, we needed 30 tons. So
I can imagine.
So we're already kind of in a point where, like, if we don't do anything, we're going to overharvest and we're going to screw the forest up. So looking forward, we're like, okay, we need to do something about it. So we started the chaga farming. Luckily, Finns were the first one who kind of developed the idea, and we were able to follow them. And as a neighbors thing, we're like, we have to do it better than them. Right? So, as it is always. So we kind of adjusted that and then applied it in Estonia, and we got better numbers. Like so far, the success rate seems to be higher. Also, the forest grows faster in Estonia, about 20% because of the soil. Because
it's
of
a lot.
It's a huge difference because of the soil mostly, but also because it's a bit warmer. So so we get better numbers because of that. And what happened was that the forest owners started to pay attention to that. It was a hard sell at first because it's a new thing and we don't like new things. But after a while, they were like, okay, so far I had the option just to cut my forest. and like I do that clear cut, I get the cash, but for another
that's it,
that's it.
That's
For another 50 years, like I don't have a cash flow. And with the chaga mushroom, I can have a cash flow every, let's say, 7 years average. I can do 3 harvests in 20 years, and I still have my forest left, and I can still do a clear cut if I want after that. So putting the numbers on the paper, once people start to realize how much different and how much bigger and more valuable the second option is, the tables started to turn.
It's more probably looking at it as more as an investment in the future.
Yes.
It could be quite a good income.
That's what we're selling. It's an investment.
And of course, it's not only about the chaga. It's we always say that there can be two pretty much the same businesses growing the same chaga, but it's also about the team. So what was or maybe its hardest challenges from the business perspective?
Well, as you said, it's all about the team, and I'm saying to my team all the time that I enjoy working with a team.
Yeah.
And like they're literally a team, like, and that makes a huge difference. I would much rather go into business with good people with an average business idea than with an awesome business idea but average
I
people.
agree. Yeah.
So,
and they can do even more, most of the time.
So, but the challenges are well, we're ahead of the trend, the curve, right? And there's a lot of explaining to do. Like it's getting better now, and I'm not gonna lie, COVID helped us a lot. It helped everybody in the supplement business, but it is a hard sell, and that's especially for the product, the chaga elixir, because it's still a mushroom in a bottle,
sure.
right? So there's a lot of explaining why, how, to who, and so on and so forth, and. People don't consume, especially like new consumers, they don't go for that product very easily. They want to taste it first. So it's always kind of like how we're going to get this product in front of those potential consumers so they can taste it. They will start to believe it because it tastes freaking good.
Yeah.
And then
that actually tastes very good.
Yeah. And then it's easy sell. But this first step is kind of a challenge. Yeah. And like we have to replicate that on every market that we're going in, right? And every market is different. So it's surprisingly hard in Denmark.
Really?
Yeah, people are like the mushroom trend is behind about 4 or 5 years there.
Wow, I haven't thought. I thought that they're one of the most educated markets.
Me too.
That's very strange.
And,
that's strange. That's a new thing for me, for sure.
And they're ahead of, in terms of like health trends, they're ahead of with a lot of things. But mushroom trend, they're far behind.
Interesting.
So like, finding this kind of a good angle, how we're gonna get in there. Same with Dubai, like or Emirates. So we've been here for over a year, but Emirates supplement market is like light years behind compared to what is. They're closing the gap real fast right now, but still. So nobody cares about the health product in a way that we do. They're still on their C vitamin. C vitamin is a big thing right now.
Yeah.
So it takes time until they get there, where more complex products are going to be like a trend. So we had to adjust. We had to adjust real fast. The reason why we entered to Dubai's market is because we have an investor from the region, and like we saw the potential and how it's growing. So what we started to do was mocktails, because because this city is all about the like non-alcohol cocktails, right?
Yeah.
And we created.
That's actually a brilliant idea.
Yeah, and now that's how we're introducing the product, because people are going out there drinking mocktails and they're like, oh, what is this? And it's actually a supplement, right? So we're kind of cornering the market from that end. Then we're going into the health stores, and then
That's actually a brilliant idea, because I personally use your elixir for mocktails as well, because I'm not drinking alcohol, and usually when you go or you meet friends, they're drinking and you don't want to sit just with a glass of water. And then I began to do this type of mocktails, and everyone was, wow, it's so delicious. What is it? Because it's also not only like it's not too sweet, it's not too sour, and it also has a bit of bitterness.
Yes.
And I mean, for me, it was one of the best, choices, especially for the summertime. And here is a perfect weather to enjoy this type of the, mocktails.
The whole idea
Wow,
actually,
it's a good idea, really.
it started from the fact that like with those products, when we didn't have anything like Elston product line, the summer is low season, and by low season I mean extremely low season, because everybody cares about
Sure.
grilled meat and beer, right? So we're like, okay, we need something. We need to supplement. We need to find something for summer. So we started with mocktail idea, and we tried to launch that in Estonia as well, but it was very hard sell. Like, it's a very hard sell in Estonia, but because of that, we were able to take that model, apply it here, and it's not a hard sell. It's like spot on. It's like bullseye. So yeah, like we are moving a lot of product through mocktails, and then now we're starting to work with like specialty stores.
Wow, so you began to work with some type of the restaurants more, or how the entry point with the mocktails look like?
It's restaurants. There's I think 14,000 restaurants in Dubai.
So it's more like a B2B sale than D2C.
Yeah.
Wow, it's very interesting. It's very interesting. And of course, I know, and I've also in a position being a CEO, and I know that a lot of people who are not into business at the moment or thinking about the business in the future, they think, oh my God, CEO is it would be so nice to be a CEO someday, feel so important or something. But at the same time, it's a huge responsibility, and the burnouts and a lot of things might happen. And what about you? What would be the main remedies that you use to keep yourself, productive, in balance, calm, and so on?
It's a constant learning progress.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody in this world who's perfect at that. We all have our flaws, but and you're bound to do the mistakes. No question about it. This is how we learn, right?
Sure.
We need to do those mistakes. But I think I've had my burnouts, so something that you need to do as well.
Yeah, true.
I was
you
lucky.
Need to experience.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to have that in my late 20s, early 30s. This is actually where my journey to biohacking started as well. I wasn't completely burned out, but I was kind of plateaued, and I felt okay, it's something is missing. I don't have the energy. I don't have that thrive, that spark. So we need to some of the things we can read from a book, and we can hear from other people saying it, but you have to go through that. You have to do those mistakes. You have to almost burn out. You have to take a lot on yourself, and then figure out well, I don't need to do all of that, or I can spend my time in a much better way, or so on. But what I value the most, number one, sleep. I value my sleep, because it turns out that that's actually make it or break it for the next day. So, and I used to be a night owl. I went to sleep 3 a.m. in the morning, and I woke up 9, 10.
Wow.
A few problems with that. First of all, the business world has been going for a couple of hours by the time you wake up.
Yeah.
And second of all, you're still in a constant fog, because your clock is off, type of thing. So now I adjusted my circadian rhythm, and sleep is number one. Number two is stay away from the kryptonite. We already talked about the kryptonite, but I have so many people coming to me. It's okay, so what are the supplements I should take, and blah blah blah. I'm don't take the supplements. Stop taking the crap that makes you weak. Because it's 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
80% of the problems are coming from the stuff that we're eating every day. And then once you eliminate that, then let's work with the 20%, right? And that 80% gives you a massive shift already, right? So I'm human after all by the end of the day. So, I eat other stuff as well that makes you weak sometimes. But at least it's kind of a calculated decision. I know what I'm going into, right? I don't drink alcohol that much. It happens maybe once, twice a year. If I do, once again, it's a calculated decision. I'm looking at the crowd I'm going out with, and I'm thinking the next couple of days, I'm is it worth it? No, then not gonna happen. Is the crowd worth it? Is the timeout worth it? Sure. Okay, let's do this, right? So hangover is not only like a next day thing. Like we feel it hurts next day, but mentally you're off for like 3, 4, 5 days.
That's
depending.
even worse.
Yeah, and most people don't feel that because they're operating on a medium level where like you don't feel those sudden changes. But once you start to make the shift, once you feel more energized, once you feel that like you wake up in the morning without an alarm clock and that kind of stuff, well, you feel when it hits you.
Yeah.
And I'm not willing to take that.
Yeah, I think when you're kind of going, because I personally also love biohacking, and the story how I entered it or met it is basically the same as yours. And what I've noticed is that when you're getting more and more conscious about how you feel, and it's not only about, I drink water more and I feel maybe not that buzz or something, but basically when you feel the conscious about the energy, about even when you're meeting some type of the people and you feel, the energy, how do you feel after the meetings and so on. There are a lot of things with the consciousness of what we can notice. I think then all of your decisions can be like clear. It's your choice. You're not dragged by other people's, habits or something.
And you're emotionally more balanced as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm here today with you, and I had 2 very intense meetings before that. Silver 10 years ago would be dead here and trying to drag himself through the conversation. Where I'm sitting here today, and I'm like, let's do this. This is fine. This is okay, right? And this is not to brag, but like that shows that everything is possible. Because I used to be a guy who smoked. I used to be a guy who was drinking, like social drinking, right?
Yeah.
I used to do all of that. And I remember the day when I made the decision for myself that something needs to change. That was in Canada. I lived in Toronto. I had my own business, brick and mortar store on Dundas Square, which is the main kind of a square, city square, right next to that. So like looking for far away, like I was, all was good. I was set, right? And I was in, it was like 7 p.m. I was in Starbucks waiting to get my like 6th or 7th coffee. And I was thinking to myself and being like, I'm in a fog, constantly in a fog. It's like, everything is like, there is such a friction, like going through like, business day. Like I got things done, but it was like, dragging a massive weight behind you. And I was like, something needs to change. There has to be a better way. And well, I still got my coffee. I still walked back, had a cigarette, right? So I was thinking to myself, like, there has to be a better way. So the question that popped into my head was that, what if I'm operating only in 20%?
Yeah, what about the other?
Yeah. What about like if I'm getting that extra 5%, what's going to happen, right? And it kind of like, I had this nagging voice in my head. I was like, what if, right? And I was like, okay, like I need to explore, at least. I need to explore. And I started looking for, like searching for information. I found my first podcasts. I started listening to podcasts. And suddenly, like, I quit smoking.
What's the podcast name?
Well, the first podcast that really got me into biohacking was Dave Asprey.
I love him too.
Or previously Bulletproof. So that guy made a difference for me, right? And I quit smoking, like, and it wasn't hard. Before that, I tried to quit smoking like millions of times, and like quitting smoking is easy. Not starting again, that's hard.
Yeah, true.
So like I tried so many times, and then like finally when I figured out for myself why I'm doing this, and I was like, okay, I need to be more clear. I want to be more clear. I want to achieve more. Like, quit smoking. I saw people walking on the street smoking. Like I didn't crave for it.
I think it's also very important, the intention, when you have that clear intention deep in your heart that, okay, it's because of that and that and that, because I want to feel this, this and this, then I think it's a bit, easier to change your life.
Absolutely, and that what made the shift, right? And then the second thing was that Dave Asprey pretty much taught me was get some like serious sleep, like get your circadian rhythm right, and like have like 8 hours a night. As soon as I switched to that was my 80%. And I was like,
that's amazing.
There's
That's
something
really
into it.
amazing. That's amazing. And you know, when you are telling all of this, it seems that it's not that hard. You know, well, to get the right amount of sleep, to quit smoking, listening to the podcast, and so on. But really, actually, it requires a lot of will inside. You know.
As you said, it's you must have a reason, right? We wake up every day and go to work because there's a reason, right?
Yeah.
Like we need the money, we need to pay the rent, we need to take care of the family, whatever the reasoning is, right? We go and maybe exercise. There is a reason because in our head we told the story that we want to look good and like we maybe want to be more healthy, whatever the reason is, and we do that every day or every second day or whatever it is. So like we need the same reason to be healthy. Like we need to understand why we want to be healthy. And for me, it was being an entrepreneur because the only, let's say, the most valuable asset I have is my brain. Like I can keep going without my one arm or whatever it is, but my brain, like if that doesn't operate properly, then like, you know, the amount of value I'm losing is massive. So I wanted to go the other way and I was like, okay, what if I can get another 5%? What if I can get another 7% and so on? So, but one thing, like I went through a long journey, but one thing I didn't realize is get rid of the kryptonite part. That took me a couple of years. And then eventually when like you stop the crappy food, that makes massive change.
Yeah. I think I've all of my like wellness path started with this. It was I didn't know anything about biohacking, nothing at all, but I just naturally wanted to eat like healthier, and that changed a lot, not only outside but also the inner body. So I totally agree with that. So coming back to Shroomwell, what would be the future of it? What's your plans for, I know, upcoming 2, 5, maybe 10 years?
Well, the vision is big.
That's why I asked, because I believe in it.
And we're already, we've done like the first couple of steps towards that. So we're already the biggest medicinal mushroom farming in the world, outdoors. And the whole idea is we're the green innovation company. So it's not only about the health product. Like obviously we want to do the best health product. We want to, like I said, we have the red lines that we're not going to cross. We want to make sure if we tell you that, listen, this product is getting you better focus, then we're not putting in some crap that takes the focus away, right? So in terms of wellness products, we want to do the best products. It's, you know, it's a cliche, but that's what we want to do.
Well, yeah.
But at the same time, what we are doing is we have a circular approach. So we do all of that mushroom farming side as well. So we fully control the quality of the mushroom, and we fully control the entire kind of a model, mushroom growth model. So we know that we're growing mushroom outdoors, which means they're going to be the most potent mushrooms possible, because everything that's grown indoors is in an ideal environment.
Sure.
So they look good, they taste good, but in terms of bioactive components, they're average. So we want to take them outdoors where like they have to work with the environmental stressors, you know, such as light, wind, cold, rain, snow, whatever it is, right? So which means that the number of bioactive components and the amount of bioactive components is going to be completely different. Sure. It can be like 10-fold change compared to or difference compared to the ones indoors. So we take that best knowledge, those best mushrooms, and we turn into the best wellness products that are out there. And also, like, we are not competing with the pills. Like, the pills, they're great. They're a great entry level, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And I used to be the supplement guy. I was like, you know, 50 different pills, like consuming every day. And this is great. Like, I have nothing bad to say about that, but like we want to be a next level from that. We
Sure.
want to be more complex, where like, you know, with a shot of chaga elixir today, you're getting so much more than just, you know, immunity, right? So there are some massive issues in the world today, like stress, sleep issues, young people, like I'm talking young people in their 20s, 30s.
Yeah.
focus issues, like stuff like that. Anxiety, right? So I think it was Vishen Lakhiani who came out with the term humanity plus. And that's what I like. Like, I like to apply humanity plus. So anything that we're putting into our products, anything we do needs to add to the humanity, not take away from humanity, right? So I couldn't live myself if we're just marketing a health product that we know is full of garbage. That's not who I am. Like, I can't do that. Like, I would much rather earn less money or revenue out of that, but I'll put the maximum product possible.
And you can calmly sleep, at night that you know that you're not only bringing, a money, but you're also making a really great product that people, can benefit of. And of course, as a dog mom, I can't, skip the question about the pet. So I know that you're also feeding your dog with a raw diet. So have you noticed, any differences to trying a raw diet instead of the usual kibble? And I guess you also gave your dog mushrooms as well. So what that was, and also have you noticed any differences?
Yeah. So I have a Labrador. She's 3 years, 2 or 3 months now. So she's still quite young.
She's young and active, I believe.
Yeah. So she's still a puppy in a large dog's body. So there isn't any big issues that I'm trying to cure. But at the same time, I spent a lot of time, let's say last 8 years, studying human health and how certain supplements are dealing with our body, and how we can get better, faster, stronger, and so on. And then when I came back from Canada, we used to have a dog before we left to Canada. But that dog went to with my brother's family, because we planned to go for a year, ended up staying there for 7. So I couldn't take my dog back because, it was their dog. But we came back and we're like, we're gonna get ourselves a new dog. But after a couple of years, we finally got it. And we started with granules first. But it always kind of bugged me that I know it's not the best food. It's this processed food for human beings, right? And I was I was curious. And luckily, I met the dog trainer who's applying this dog listener way of thinking. And she's also very into the nutrition, dog nutrition. So I spent a day with her, and she was talking about the dog nutrition and how it all applies. And since I could relate in terms of the human side of the nutrition, I was like, God, how the hell did I miss that, right? So she was, I think, 5 months old when we first started with the raw food, and literally overnight, 5-month-old dog, right? 5-month-old puppy has a lot of energy, massive amount of energy. But when you switch from the granule to the raw food, you see how that energy changes. Mm-hmm. So one is a dog with ADHD, and the other one is a dog who has just a puppy with a massive energy, right? And that was the shift. Also, everything that came out from the dog was extremely tiny as well, because you see actually that the dog is digesting all of that. So as soon as we did that switch, we never looked back. We're okay, this is a thing to go. And my dog is very healthy, has a lot of energy, has a stable energy, is ready to learn, because that's one big thing. It's with kids. If you give them burgers day in and day out, you hate those kids, right? I was why isn't my kid listening? Why isn't why can't he just stay put? Because you feed him crap. That's why, right? Same with dogs. So it was much easier to work with my dog. And Labradors, they're well known of learning fast, but nonetheless, it was much easier. And then I tried mushrooms. So obviously chaga powder, and I don't know, it's a preventive medicine for dogs as well. So I would like to think that because of that, she's maybe better, healthier. But I've heard some crazy stories about chaga mushroom, where like the owners of the animals, like is it a dog or a horse, they're giving chaga, and how that turns around like some heavy illnesses. There was a customer of mine to whom we're kind of selling the chaga farming idea. And he said, like, yeah, I know chaga, like you don't have to sell it to me because I've been like consuming chaga myself, and I actually brought my dog back to life with chaga mushroom. So also the dog lost his back legs, and that's kind of a big issue with a lot of dogs. And the dog was like 7-8 years old, and started to give chaga to the dog, like mix into the food. And with a couple of months, the dog was back to life, like was running around and everything. Same with horses. Like horses have a lot of big issues because they're overbred and so on. And people who were giving chaga to horses, the same thing. They're like, yeah, the dog is like back in life. Like the fur is nice and shiny and everything. So like, I'm a big believer that we should give mushrooms to dogs as well.
Wow, well, it's a great story, because we always discussing, natural ways how we can prevent our pets to like many diseases. And the thing that you mentioned with the emotional health is really important as well, because when the same as humans, the same with the kids that you also mentioned, is that the crappy food damages the microbiome. And microbiome is really important to have this like really a mental stable energy. And it's the same for kids, it's the same for adults, it's the same for pets. So that's why I totally agree that it could be a really great remedy, to adapt it.
Our gut and brain are connected, right?
Definitely.
And like we've heard, probably all of us heard that, but we kind of ignored that for a very long time.
We're gonna skip it, most of the time.
It was like two different things.
Okay,
come on, right?
I will use some type of the supplements, and it's gonna make it clean and clear,
But you can try it out. Like have something, highly processed food, eat a lots of sugar and bad fats, and then please come to me and tell me that you feel okay, like mentally.
And you're very productive.
Like you're down, like you have brain fog. You get easily irritated. You hate the next person that comes and sits with you. Like it will change, and you don't have to wait for days. We're talking about hours.
Yeah.
And like coming out from that is a very long process.
And you need consistency too.
And you need consistency, right? So like making the damage is very fast, but coming out from the damage takes time. And that's where people don't have the patience. They're like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna be healthy from today. I'm gonna be healthy after those fries. So like I know how hard it is. Like I've been there. Like I said, I'm human being after all. Like there are certain things that I know that are bad for me, but I'm still doing it. But like it shouldn't be that hard. Like and that's what I mean. Like once you get out from that rut, it gets easier. Like I used to like fries as well. I don't touch fries because of the information I know.
And you feel the difference, of consuming it and not. So sure.
And I don't crave it either, so after a while.
I'm very happy about our conversation. For me personally, it's very interesting, and one of the main reasons why I've really wanted to start the podcast is because all of the people that I've talked with, they inspire me, and they boost that inner curiosity, probably that energy that I really want to learn more from them. And I couldn't imagine a better way to grow, while listening other people's experiences, what they came through, and what you can really see from the real life experience, not only reading books with some type of tips and tricks, but the real life experiences.
Everybody has their own journey, right? And there's no journey that just sunshine and unicorns. There's difficult.
It would be nice, but unfortunately,
no, it wouldn't. It would be boring. Like it would be extremely boring.
That's true,
because we grow through pain, and like podcasts help me to become who I am. And I think it's for those people who can be here with you, I think it's their obligation to give it back and like help other people to be better. Because like if if we all can lift each other up and be
Sure.
better people, even like 0.1%, we make a massive difference
That's
in the world.
already a huge. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you
No,
for
thank you.
everything. Thank you.